did many years ago.
I would
already.
take a chip in a heartbeat. Would you?
Yes, I do.
I would chip me up so I can just beep, beep.
I think for many things.
Hello and welcome back to She Leads the Way. I'm your host, Nikki Bedford, and on today's episode, we're joined by Andrea Prazakova. She is the SVP at Mastercard, leading Foundry and ESG. ESG. She is an innovator across AI, innovation, sustainability, Web3, blockchain. And today we're going to be talking about all of that as well as the future of banking. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me today.
Kick us off by giving us a bit of a background on you and your role at Mastercard.
Do you want my personal background or my professional background?
I'd love a little bit of your personal background and then how you moved into Mastercard. Because you're working across some really interesting things as well.
Yeah, I have the best job in the company, I always say.
Oh, do you think so? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So I am, by the name, you can hear it that I'm from Eastern Europe, right? It has the OVA in the end. If somebody doesn't know, every time you see the OVA, that's a female Eastern European name. I'm from Czech Republic. That's where I was born. My background is, 23 years in retail and SME banking before I joined Mastercard. So please don't do the math because it will increase the numbers. I moved around the world with my jobs quite a lot. I spent obviously many years in Czech Republic, left in 1992, lived in Austria for many years, then was a group head of retail and SME banking in Slovakia, moved to Indonesia for a short while, and then from Indonesia, I didn't like it really. So I was very happy when I got a call and an offer to come to South Africa. And I worked with IFC, which is a part of the World Bank in Africa. And then I was a group head of retail and SME banking for a Zimbabwean bank, which was incredible experience. And I set up the operation in Zimbabwe, Zambia, Tanzania, Botswana, and Mozambique.
Oh my gosh.
It was the best ride of my life. And from there, I got through LinkedIn. If somebody doesn't believe that, LinkedIn can get you a job. Through LinkedIn, I got contacted by Karis Richard from Mastercard. And that's how I end up in Mastercard in 2015 and moved actually to Dubai with my family.
Wow, that's incredible. So before that, it was work, though, that was moving you to all of these different countries.
Yeah, always work, yes. Okay. I think that, it's... the revolution came in 1989, right? And I had just a great opportunity to move out and start in payments, even though it definitely wasn't my first choice. But from there, it never stopped. And I think once you move out, I'm sure you feel the same way. Once you move out, it's really hard to go back. Yeah. It's like your mind is expanding every time you live in a different country and you experience different cultures and new languages. It's like everything is growing in your brain and you can't put it back and shrink it into one small environment.
Yes.
And when I come back home today, I use it loosely to Czech Republic, I don't feel home anymore. Because it's so many years later. And I think there's nothing to do with, growing out the country or being arrogant. It's just your mind expands so much and your viewpoints change dramatically. And I simply love it. I think every time you go to a different place, you become a better person, right? It makes you, I think it's such a gift for my kids that they are surrounded by so many different cultures that this is their second country they already live in their short life.
Yeah.
And no, I think it's perfect.
But I also think that you take it to a whole new level with the amount of countries that you have worked and lived in. Like, that's absolutely phenomenal.
I think that the biggest learning was not so much professionally, because I think that we evolve all professionally, right? That's part of our life. But I think it's what it does to your soul and to your mind, right? Culturally. I was reading a book a couple of months back, which is called The Culture Map. And it's written by an American lady who is a teacher at INSEAD. And she prepares global executives when they move to different places of a culture they don't understand. And I related so much to what she was writing in the book and saying in the book, because I remember when I moved first time to Asia, how I didn't understand the culture, how I misread all the signals. When then I moved to Africa, and when I think about it, people are so patient with me, right? And even then move it here in the Middle East, it's mind-boggling what it does to you, right? How you differently start to look at things and how you expand your own horizon.
Tell us about your role at Mastercard.
The coolest job, yeah. So I look after three areas. I look after Foundry, which is a word for innovation, if you want to call it. And the second pillar I'm looking after is ESG. And that accompanies Mastercard sustainability solution like Carbon Calculator, Donate, Priceless Planet Coalition. So really, working together with our customers and partners to build in sustainability into their solution. And the last one is a little bit like a side job, which is gaming, which I'm very passionate about, and working the team closely to look how we can incorporate gaming propositions for gamers in the Middle East and Africa.
Love that. So we're going to unpack that a little bit more, but the first question is a big one, and that is the future of banking. I thought we'd start there. So if we think about banking, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, it's been primarily offline, and then we've seen a huge shift to being online, not only moving to online, but also in some instances not having an offline presence whatsoever. What are your thoughts on the future of banking and innovation in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's a really loaded question. And, I was thinking about it because of this. You sent me the questions before, so I was thinking about it. And I feel we need to debunk it a little bit, right? Because often people misunderstand enhancements with something which is breakthrough, right? I think many financial institutions today, they look how they enhance today's services. What you're doing today by using new technology, right? If it's AI is a great example, right? Automated chatbot in services, call centers, branches, and so on. So you can use smart contracts for documentation, blockchain for verification and decentralization and so on. So you can have on one side, how will the banking change by being influenced by today's new technology, right? And I think that everybody's on the train now. Everybody's trying to catch up and say, possibly you will not have people in the branches, right? You will have personalized digital twins which will be combination of all of the best advisors they have in the bank, who will be always friendly and always understand you. Everything will be digitized, right? I think many things will be voice. So I think the technology itself is really impacting how the banking is moving. But the real innovation is obviously happening in the Web3 companies, in retail, and so on. So the real interesting question would be, how will m-banking change?
Yes.
So not only as they go today as like on a train, right? Enhancing the experiences you have today, so taking it from offline to online, making it more digital, making it more personalized, using more data, to something which will be really, really innovative, right? And I think that's a really interesting area to look at, to say, will the banks do the leap into a full reimagination of their business model, right? So while you are with a bank, you want to have your money somewhere safe, right?
Yes.
And you want to be able to borrow money. These are, in a nutshell, two services which the banks are very trusted, and you want to have it in a place which you trust, which is regulated. Now, if you take it now into the future, it's not only your money, right? It's not only fiat currency, right?
Yes.
It's your crypto holdings, is your NFT, is your identity in a physical world, is your identity in your Web3 world, is your health data, and so on. So there's multiple different things, right? Is all your tokens you can have for your clothes, for your house, for your car, and so on. So there is that, how will we reimagine the banking where you're not only operating in a physical and a virtual world, where you not only operate with fiat currency, but multiple different commodities which are turning into currency, right? You will be maybe able to pay with your solar tokens, with your water tokens, right? Instead for your Costa coffee, right?
Yes.
Instead of with dirhams. So I think that I really see that in the future. I hope we will see this, change of the banking model, where banks will assume the position of this broker, if I want to say, Rich, because banks are trusted, and will enable me to bring everything inside and almost work in the back end, right? Where many of these services will be embedded in my day-to-day experiences. So if you have Alexa or Siri, you would give some commands with your voice, right? My kids definitely operate on voice, right? They don't operate on writing. So you will give a command. Ultimately, behind every command, there is some kind of action for payment possibly, right? How would you be able to do something where you are purchasing a home, and as you are purchasing the home, you will be through voice be able to do application to 3 different banks, and they will expose your data tokens, and that one bank which will hold your identity would expose all the data about you, so that the other banks can offer you the best rate, and by voice you could accept it, right? Or not only voice, because obviously with deep fakes there will be multiple different stages of authentication. But I think it's the interesting part is because the banks are standing, I feel, on a real milestone where we obviously there was gold and commodities, then fiat was ruling the world, gold is still there, but now with so many different other methods which represent value are coming, which are here and coming out, that will be a real, interesting future for us to experience. I feel very privileged that I live today's time to be able then to see the emergence of the technology and how the, banking will be shaping. And there will be definitely, there is some who will be leading it, right? Who will be the NVIDIA and the Apples of banking, and then there will be some which will just, just automate and enhance and focus maybe.
Definitely.
But I think one thing which I'm always imagining it, right, is like if you think everybody's now doing AI bots, right, to be able to serve you better, and I'm just thinking, wow, wouldn't it be cool if the bank would have actually a personalized, almost like a AI bot just for me, for Andrea, and it would know my financial data, my health data, my habits, and everything I do, and based on that, doing recommendation for anything which is needed in my life at that point in life which I need, right? Which I think it's that type of personalization is super interesting, where the personalization will not go from the interest of the bank or corporate, but it will go everything from the point of view of the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that was a good segue into my next question, but I think that you have answered half of it, and that is around technology and the fact that it's augmenting our lives. How do you see emerging technologies such as AI and blockchain changing the future of innovation for, I guess, the financial innovation?
I think there are couple of areas I'm super excited about, and there is obviously a lot of dangers with AI, right?
Yes.
But we're not here today to talk about that. I think that where I see one of the biggest advances, which I'm excited, is education.
Yes.
If you think about it, right? So my kids, we spoke about them before, they are 13 and 11. They go to school, and it's still a very much cookie cutter approach, right? They go, everybody goes to school, they have the same uniforms, go to school class, they have the same classes. But every child in the class, every child in the school is different. The way how they learn, how they perceive information is different. So one of the big powers of utilizing technology is that you will be able to adjust the way how my children are learning, how they're perceiving the information, what is the speed, what is the medium they use it, right? So it will child who would be maybe in the past, even today, be left behind because maybe he is more introverted or she is more introverted, so can't pick up at school, and the parents maybe cannot have all the after school teachers to help to pick it up, would left behind, right? Now, not anymore. Second area in the education is access for people who are not financially privileged, right? So everybody has a mobile phone today, and if you can see it in the more underprivileged economies, telecoms are everywhere, so they have such a fantastic products. So if I have a telephone, I could have an AI teacher, which would be a combination of many different subjects and teachers in a phone for my child, maybe in Zulu, right? In Xhosa or in Portuguese, for maybe $1 a month.
Wow.
Right? So my child would be able to learn in places which are not private school. So I think the accessibility to education and then the personalification. The second area, I think it's healthcare. Of course, I don't want to live forever, but I would like
Don't
to.
You?
I think it would be really hard. And I don't know how to afford it as well, right? But I think we want to live longer, not only longer, but we want to live a quality life, right? And if you look at healthcare, obviously we've been very much dependent on brilliant scientists, right? Which were working and experimenting, but everything took really long. Today, I just was reading article this morning where a female scientist was able to diagnose multiple different types of breast cancer because of the AI modeling she did, right? So imagine how fast this is. So it goes from science into technology, right? So the impact on the new research, medication, and any form. I think Meta is doing, Mark Zuckerberg with his wife, they're investing heavily into obviously trying to cure every disease which is on the planet, right? And with AI, I was just working on a project at MIT where we've been experimenting where you have in your phone, you speak to your phone, and it should be able to diagnose if you have early stages of Alzheimer or dementia, right?
Wow, really?
Or there was another one which by coughing would have an algorithm which would be able to determine if you have COVID. So there is, from a healthcare perspective, imagine that you would be able to diagnose things based on your health data if you have a, glucose monitor, and that will hopefully soon be able to extract more data, not just your blood sugar. And you would be able to prevent a stroke or anything.
And it's just so much more accessible because it's on you.
Exactly. And it will drive you maybe to be healthier.
Well, if you can see it firsthand, you'd want to see it uptick.
So I think education and healthcare is obviously amazing. And the third one is space, right? Because now with AI and space technology, the exploration and bringing materials, to Earth, and it's with AI, it's so much more accessible, right? And it brings the cost down. So I think that, we spoke about the payments, right? It's predictability, personalization, it's definitely there. I think we will have a great age of experiencing better customer service and more personalized service. And I feel also that today many banks, are very much dependent to hope what customers will like. And I think it's delightful now to be on the banking side is to say, wow, now I will really understand, what Nikki needs. And I can actually give her only what Nikki will like. And it's probably very different what Andrea will like, right? So you will not be annoyed when you get information from your bank. You will be actually delighted because it would speak to you. It would speak to your interest. It would speak to what you do maybe at that point in time, right? So it's, I think, really interesting.
Very interesting.
And we didn't touch even on the Web3, right? But maybe we will.
We will. We'll move into Web3. But before we do, how do you see these new technologies opening up opportunities for women in tech and women in the fintech space?
Today there is about 26 or something percent. The last statistic I saw, maybe it changed. 26% of women engage in AI, which is still very low.
Is that right? Only 26% of women.
And in quantum is about 2% only, right? And I wonder, because obviously, yes, the technology is here since 1956, right? But as a consumers, we've been in touch with it for just last couple of years, right? And as a consumer since we heard about ChatGPT. And I'm still, surprised that, there is such an underrepresentation of women. And there is a lot of work by the schools and by the parents and by the companies to bring up women in these fields. But also, there is a saying, you can take the horse to water, you can't make it drink, right? I think today there is so much free education online. Nothing stops a woman or a man on a daily basis to go and read up and watch a 15-minute video about artificial intelligence, about Web3, about blockchain, and just simply upskill herself every single day, right? I think it's really important that we don't think that this is not for us. Everything is for grab.
Yeah.
You just need to say, you know what, I give it a try.
And I'm
will
interested.
learn, and I'm interested, right? We can have expectations that, that the employers will teach us that, I don't know, something will happen and I will wake up one day and know everything. But ultimately, it's in our hands. So the percentages is still very low. I think the opportunity is incredible. Because with all these tools, you can come up with idea and execute ideas much faster, which I think it's brilliant, right? Of course, you have to have that pedigree of being the entrepreneur. But even in a workspace, right, it's such a fascinating, and it would be super sad if in the age where the information is free, easily available, if we as women would not fulfill our own potential, because there's no reason why we should not be 50-50
I agree.
in that field, if it's AI, if it's Web3, if it's blockchain. And it's I would want to see it at school as well, that, you know, yesterday I saw a video by Mercedes, which is about girls, and that the girls don't want to be the only one in the room. They want to be one of many. And I think that's a really great vision to have, you know. How can you be one of many and not only one? And so it's still low, but we have to try ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And it's such an important space. And without that diversity of having more women, we need that level of perception in there as well. And otherwise, we won't be able to innovate properly.
Exactly. And I think that it's our role as female leaders to help for other women to get upskilled as well, and provoke them, you know, and say, why don't you try? You know, this is for you, same way as it is for a man.
Yes.
You know, if I can do it, you can do it too. Why not? Right?
Absolutely.
Why not? And if you don't like it, try something else, but give it a try. So I think as female leaders in anywhere, but technology specifically, we really need to make sure that we bring up other females up, encourage them to try new things, encourage them to go into these untapped areas. You know, I didn't know, ask me 3 years ago, 5 years ago, about AI just out of science fiction books, right? You can learn, you can become expert in things if you give it the right time and the effort, right? There is a lot of courses you can make. It's up to you.
And you'll be better off for it, because it is the future. So you 100%. Will be using it 100%.
So I think that that's a really interesting segue, because if you think about it, you know, maybe in the future you won't be sitting here, right? You will be somewhere on a beach in Australia, and you would have a digital twin which will look like you, talk like you, and interview my digital twin, right? Possibly. Would
they have the same sense of humor?
I'm not sure, but you can augment it maybe. But the question is, what you do today, what of the things which you do today you augment, right? So I'm sure you're already augmenting the scripts using ChatGPT, for example. You're augmenting probably your posts for LinkedIn, right? These are small augmentations of tasks, right? So there is certain things you will be able to fully automate. For example, the post-production. Today, humans are still needed, right? So if I take it practically, so let's say we finish this recording, right? You will take your phone or your watch or your implant in your wrist and you would say, okay, I would like to have a post-production done in 24 hours, cut it down to 30 minutes, keep the highlights, give me 3 different scenarios with intro music, use my logo, and send it to me.
What a dream.
But that's possible.
Yeah.
So today you have already...
In the chip.
Actually, the chips were tested many years ago.
I would take a chip in a heartbeat. Would you?
Yes,
I would chip me up so I can just beep, beep.
I think for many things, right? Your health data and so. I mean, it has dangers as well. But, you know, what the technologies today to read YouTube videos are existing there.
Yes.
Technologies to make, Beethoven AI to do your own jingles and music is there, right? You can use different tools for making your logo once you have it.
Yes.
The let's say your concierge or whatever service it would be could do it all by itself. So you would not need the human interaction. There would be maybe one human who would just do the final orchestration, but instead of the gentleman sitting in the back, then listening to the whole thing, cleaning it all up, and spending maybe 3 hours, maybe he would only need 10 minutes.
That's crazy. It's crazy to think that all you need then is an idea or something that you think, oh, I might be interested in that, and then you could build a whole business off the back of it without really much more than just that idea.
Yes, you definitely can. I mean, it's and I find it so fascinating. You know, my kids did a course in October with an amazing gentleman. His name is Khalifa, and for a week, even though they hated me in the beginning because they said, "Mommy, it's holidays. Why did we need to do another course?" Then they obviously loved it.
Stop educating me, Mum.
Yes, they loved it in the end. So he showed them the power of the different tools, right? How do you do research? Get the market data? How do you build your own persona? How do you build the proposition? How do you build the customer journey? When they built a prototype, when they tested it in synthetic data, and by the end of the week, they both had an idea which they actually experimented with and piloted. And my kids are 13 and 11, right? And I'm sure that half of the lessons they were also chit-chatting, right?
Yes.
Because you know, that in your hands, right? Where you are much more focused and much more targeted, and you actually, you know, really put 100% of your energy and not like 50, 60% because you just have fun. It is incredibly powerful, you know, it is incredible. My younger son actually created an app, which then we saw on GPT-4. It's called Sous Chef, right? Where you take a picture of your fridge and it gives you recipes. So my son in October had the same idea. Unfortunately, didn't publish, so it's water under the bridge. He created his logo, and he even tested it at home. He took a picture of our fridge, and then he had, you know, wrote the recipes, and then it also said, what do you do with the leftovers and things like that.
What a good idea.
It's live now. You can go to GPT-4 to the chat, and you know you have GPTs. It's like an app store, right? Inside.
Gosh.
It's called Sous Chef, and you just take a picture of your fridge, put it in, and it tells you what you can cook.
And then from there, you just need to send that to someone who can cook it.
Okay, then you need a robot for it. Yeah, I'm very hopeful that one day we will have an iRobot kind of scenario.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. That's
Me
my
too.
dream. That's my dream. But I mean, we're joking, but there is so much of power behind this, right? And what I love about it is that it really democratizes entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right. There are some people who are entrepreneur by birth. It's in them, you know, they have that drive, that persistence. I think it's incredible. I admire everybody who can, you know, just create things out of nothing.
Yes, I can.
But in many times they are limited because of, you know, access to the right tools, education, funding, and so on. But I think that AI obviously will not always bring them everything, but will make this journey so much easier. You know, they will not need to pay for a long research. They will be able to get it through Perplexity or Gemini and then, you know, validate the data themselves. And so that democratization of entrepreneurship, I think it's just beautiful.
It is beautiful, but it's also exciting because you think there are so many people, and I relate to the wanting to be able to build out ideas, but being able to use AI and knowing that, okay, you can come in with something so small and allow AI to help build it out for you. You'd be able to create something quite beautiful.
You know, definitely. You know, and it's not only art and music, right? It's many different things.
Yes.
Which can, and it, you know, once you feed it the right information, you prime it and prompt it, then you can do many things.
Definitely. So let's move into Web3 now. And Web3 is gaining attention. It's building a huge amount of momentum for its decentralized approach. How do you see the future of Web3 and its, I guess, the innovation across the financial sector?
I'm fascinated by Web3, right? What it does, and it's especially for I think generation where you normally not in Web3, right? Because Web3 it's gaming if you think about it, right?
Yes.
Where you are in a virtual environment. But now with spatial computing, I think Web3 is taking a completely different level, right? So. I think from finance, where I see it, and it's obviously my personal opinion, is I think there will be a lot of embedded finance products in Web3. So I think the time where people would go into a bank branch in a kind of metaverse environment, I think will move and evolve into that the bank will be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
If you will go to a concert, into a store, or into a game, the financial services will be embedded automatically. And I think that will be real power. I mean, there are a lot of challenges, don't take me wrong today, right? Because it's not interoperable. You cannot, I mean, if you have one avatar here and one skin here, you cannot, you know, jump between each other. You cannot interconnect the wallets. So there is a lot of but it's just technical things which we humans are brilliant in solving problems, right? Put the problem in front of us, we solve it. So now imagine once it's interoperable, you will be able to have this. So from a finance perspective, you will be able to fund something, and as a bank, if you are in the background, right? You will be able maybe to give you a loan in a Web3 environment, right? And you will be able to give the loan in crypto. You will be able to give a loan in fiat currency. You will be able and convert it, obviously. So there's multiple different things that you will be able to do, right? Already today, where I feel Web3, I'm excited for my kids as well, it's the creator economy, right? What we see is it's moving from where we are fed content to content creation, right? I mean, we see it obviously on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and many other channels, right? YouTube and so on. And and YouTube is, I think, the great example for young generation, right? I mean, my kids know so many YouTubers. That's just sick, yeah. Yeah, but that's a different discussion. So now take it into Web3, right? There, you as a individual, you are able to. You have a great outfit today. You will be able to do your own design, and then you bring it in Fortnite, in Minecraft, in Roblox, in, many of these big games and small games, whatever, and then sell it. So you will not be a consumer anymore, or not only a consumer, you will be creator. So you will be able to create additional incomes from what you're doing. You might run your coaching in Web3,
Yeah.
right? Very, very different environment, right? So I think that the creator economy, it's really wonderful. I mean, we see it in Roblox has 70 million active users on daily basis, right?
That's crazy.
They had, I think, 170 million items sold last year, which were not created by Roblox, but they created by, when was it? Last week I saw it, 178 million items, which were created by the players, right, and sold to other players. There's obviously other challenge because it's still a little bit uncontrolled, right? That it's stuff which is not, I don't know, anti-Semitic and or racist, or different things, right? So in Web3, from a banking perspective, I think embedded, that's I see as a future, and then additional income streams, right? That every user, if he or she wants to, can become a creator.
Yeah.
So it's shifting the paradigm where we only were consumers of anything which was brought to us, from movies to food to handbags, if I take it easier. Now I can also create it, and maybe you like it, maybe you pay me for it.
Yeah.
So, and you can see it how brands are including the creators to help to build products for them, because who best knows the consumer? The consumers themselves.
Yes.
So that, I think, and then in the third area, I think the combination between Web3 and spatial computing, it's the implication on, again, education and healthcare and entertainment. It's has no boundaries. I mean, it's still so new, right? Because the headsets are so expensive for spatial computing. But if you think about it, we have so much issues with mental and physical health on workplace, right? So people go to offices and they, might not feel well, but you don't know because they pretend they're fine, right?
Yeah.
With spatial devices and IoT devices, you would be able to determine that maybe you're not feeling great, I mean, your Aura ring tells you if you didn't sleep well, right? and your heartbeat was elevated. But you will be able to use many of these devices to determine, the mental and physical health of your employees or your children or anybody else for what that matter. And these devices could be in your car, because in the future you will not be driving anymore, right? It will be self-driving. So the car will be able maybe to be a meditation pod, right?
Crazy.
So I would love that. So imagine, instead of staying in the traffic driving, you can listen to your audiobook, you can meditate, you can get your all your tests done, and then somebody comes and takes it from the car, from a pocket, and takes your tests and gets it into a lab. Or the car can have the lab itself inside the technology, right? So you just poke your finger and it can give you all your results while you're on your way to work, and it say, what, Nigel, today you might stop eating the apple and the pineapple because it has too much of sugar, because your levels are elevated maybe. And so I ordered for you a meal for lunch.
Oatmeal.
That's a lot of sugar as well. But so the imagination, I think, behind it is, and it's, I think what I'm describing, the technologies itself, right? The underlying technology exists in some form and shape already. It's a question of, is it interoperable?
Yes.
Is it safe enough? Does it hallucinate? So there are other things which we need to fix as humans, with help of ourselves and the machines. But it's not dream anymore, right? It's something which is very easily to be executed.
Definitely. This is a slight pivot, but with all of the new technology, it doesn't require us to be face to face, especially with Web3. These gaming environments. With the new generations, they may be smarter and have the ability to operate at a higher level and quicker, but do you think that it's going to impact their social skills?
I'm not a scientist in terms of, behaviors. there is a lot of studies which say that, screen time obviously
Yeah, of course.
has impact on children. Uh, I think that we need to maybe look at it slightly differently, right? So as a parent, I'm not outsourcing my parenting to a machine.
Mm.
That's my responsibility. So I need to, make sure that the amount of time my kids spend on the devices is somehow limited, right? Or in proportion. It's
Yes.
balanced, not limited. It's balanced. Now, they will spend, and they're already spending many times talking to their friends online. And it makes us very uncomfortable because it's not what we know.
Yes.
So the question is, are we afraid of it because we don't understand it and we don't know it because we didn't experience it? And then can we maybe take this emotion out and then really dissect what is the real threat, right?
Yes.
What the real threat inside is bullying, cyberbullying, right? Mental issues for that. I think we should, as adults, start to think about how can we protect the children which are in the Web3
Yes.
environment, and put some levers inside that these things don't happen, right? There was actually a very interesting experiment done by Australian gamers, right? Where there is a big Australian gaming community, obviously female
Yes.
and male, and the male gamers went into Fortnite, but their voices they augmented and they sounded like girls. And the amount of abuse they experienced was just out of this planet. And they came out and they're completely shocked, right? So again, so now how do I, as a game developer, make sure that I have an algorithm in place where if somebody is abusive to somebody else, he or she get kicked out of a game,
agreed.
right? How do you make sure that any skins which would be abusive to, if it is a gender, if it's a religion, whatever, will not be permitted on the store, right? So I know it's hard probably especially for parents, and because it's so different, right? I don't
Yes.
spend hours in gaming. But I think our job is to make sure that when they are in the environment, that the environments are as safe as possible, that their identities are protected, their mental health is protected, right?
Yeah.
And they don't get exposed to things which are, violent and so on.
Yeah,
So it is
definitely.
not going anywhere. And interesting enough, now we see that about close to 80% of consumers, so Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they care more what type of skins they have in Web3 rather than what
Yes.
clothes they wear in the normal world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's here. So we need to take care of we need to protect it.
Agreed. Let's pivot and talk about sustainability. Now, Mastercard has declared, actually, it's the first financial institution to declare that it will be net zero by 2040.
Yes.
Can you tell me about some of the initiatives that Mastercard's
Yeah,
putting in
we're very
place?
proud of obviously our sustainability activities, right? So we do couple. You just mentioned obviously our pledge. I will just list a couple of examples
Yes.
which we do. So we have obviously also commitment to reduce Scope 1 and Scope 2 by 38% by next year, 2025, and Scope 3 by 20%. We have 180 plus data centers in the US, and all of them are on renewable energy. All the buildings which we own are on LED. So there is multiple things which we do from an infrastructure perspective, supplier perspective, and so on, right? And then obviously we are very big in diversity and inclusion. So we're super proud that as a Mastercard, as an organization, a percentage of our bonus, everybody in the entire organization, is depending how we're performing on our sustainability goals. And I'm actually not aware that any other company in the world does it, but maybe they do. But this is, that's a really big stake if on an organizational level you say, guys, we really committed, we need to deliver on our goals, and if we don't, we really feel it financially.
Yeah.
The third area is that every woman in Mastercard is paid $1 woman, $1 man. There is no difference on the level how much a man or woman are paid. We have, I think last year we had 46% of hires here in our region was female. In Saudi Arabia, for example, we have, I think, close to 30% employees are female, which is, I think the country average is 8%. So we're promoting as well a lot of, not only on the junior level, but on the senior level, obviously, a lot of female,
Yes.
and we drive women leadership network and doing many other activities across the company. And then the fourth pillar is what we're doing and the commitments which we have towards SMEs. So our commitment that we will support 25 million female SMEs to start their businesses. So there's, I could go on and on and on. I think we're very proud and I mentioned obviously what I like about it is that we go across multiple disciplines, right?
Yes.
It's the environment, it's the diversity, it's the financial inclusion. So everywhere we obviously trying to have a positive impact. It's about people, prosperity, and planet, and these are 3 pillars which we have as an organization.
Amazing, amazing. So we're at our last question now, which is, what is the best piece of career advice you've ever been given?
I was thinking about that
Tell
so
us.
hard. No, really, and I can't remember. I was thinking I can't make it up because I couldn't remember. But I can maybe paraphrase it
Please.
if it's okay for you,
Yes,
right?
of course.
I think I wish I would have been much earlier educated around diversifying portfolio, right? Between your saving into your saving account, experimenting with some stocks, buying your first property. So I think that in many sense, because of the background where we came from, there everybody during communist time was supposed to be equal. So there was not such a big drive towards it, and I'm trying to make it up with my kids. But I wish that I really feel is so important, to teach young children and youth and then adults, how do you make sure that you build for your future and diversify your portfolio really, really early.
Okay, noted. Andrea, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking to you.
All right, wonderful. Bye.